My name is Ashley, and 7 years ago I married Brad, thinking we shared the same dreams and aspirations. We moved into my stunning apartment on the top floor of a tall building where the breathtaking view always left me in awe. At the time, I was thriving in my role as head of the finance department at a trading company, and my career was really taking off. Brad's mother, Barbara, lived nearby and often came to visit. From the very beginning, she made it clear that she disapproved of my career-driven lifestyle. "A woman's place is at home," she would say with a disapproving look. "You should be caring for your husband, not spending your days at work." I tried to remain calm, nodding and smiling as she went on about what a good wife should do, though inside I felt frustrated. I had told Brad from the start that I wanted to prioritize my career before starting a family, and he had agreed. But over time, I noticed his views slowly shifting, likely influenced by his mother. One evening, after a long day at work, I returned home to find Brad and Barbara sitting at the dining table, speaking in hushed tones. As soon as I walked in, they stopped talking, and an uneasy feeling settled over me. "Ashley," Brad said, his voice tense, "we need to talk." I set my bag down and sat at the table, nerves bubbling up inside me. Barbara spoke first. "Ashley, darling, we're concerned about you. All this work? It's not healthy. You're neglecting your home and your husband. When are you going to start thinking about having children?" I took a deep breath, trying to stay composed. "Barbara, Brad and I already talked about this. We decided to focus on our careers first, and then consider starting a family." Brad shifted uncomfortably in his seat. "Ashley, maybe it's time to reconsider. We're not getting any younger, and Mom's right. The apartment's a mess and I'm tired of eating takeout every night." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "Brad, are you serious? We discussed this. You know how much my job means to me, more than your family's expectations?" Barbara interrupted sharply. In a burst of frustration, I stood up, the chair scraping loudly against the floor. "My job is how I'm securing our future. For us, for our family. I thought you understood that, Brad." I stormed off to our bedroom and locked the door behind me. Lying on the bed, staring at the ceiling, I couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning of my problems, and little did I know how right I was. The next morning, I left for work before Brad woke up. In the elevator, I made a promise to myself. I would not let anyone, not even Brad, stop me from achieving my goals. I had worked too hard to get here, and I wasn't about to quit now. I arrived at the office earlier than usual and stayed late, determined to prove myself. My hard work didn't go unnoticed. A few hours later, my secretary, Jennifer, buzzed in. "Mrs. Alexander, the president, Mr. Thompson, would like to see you in his office." My heart raced as I made my way to the top floor. Mr. Thompson was known for his sharp business acumen and his ability to surprise employees. "Ashley, come in," he said when I knocked on his door. "Have a seat." I sat on the edge of the leather chair, my hands tightly clasped in my lap. "I've been following your work closely," Mr. Thompson began, his expression unreadable. "And I must say, I'm impressed." I exhaled, surprised by the relief I felt. "Thank you, sir." He leaned forward, his eyes fixed on me. "We're expanding, Ashley, merging with a large company from another city. It's a big move and we need our best people on it." My pulse quickened. Was this leading where I thought it was? "I'm planning to promote you," he continued, "to head of a new department, but I won't lie to you. It's going to be tough. You'll have to work harder than ever before. Are you up for it?" I thought about Brad, Barbara, and their expectations of me. Then I remembered all the late nights, the satisfaction of seeing my hard work pay off. "Absolutely, sir," I said firmly. "I'm in. I won't let you down." As I left Mr. Thompson's office, I felt a rush of exhilaration. This was what I had been working toward for years. I couldn't wait to tell Brad. Surely, when he saw how far I'd come, he would understand why my career meant so much to me. On my way home, I stopped at our favorite restaurant and ordered all of Brad's favorite dishes. I picked up a bottle of champagne and a bouquet of roses. This was worth celebrating, and I wanted to make it special. I juggled the bags as I unlocked our apartment door. "Brad," I called out. "I'm home and I've got a surprise," I said, finding Brad in the living room, sprawled on the couch with the TV blaring. He barely looked up as I walked in. "Brad, you won't believe what happened today," I said, my excitement overflowing. "I'm getting promoted. I'll be the head of a new department. Isn't that amazing?" Brad muted the TV and turned to me, but he didn't look happy. "So, you'll be working even more now, huh?" My smile faded a little. "Well, yes, but think about what this means for us. We can finally afford that big house we've talked about, take regular trips, set up our future." Brad stood up quickly. "Our future? What future, Ashley? You're never home as it is. When was the last time we had dinner together? When did we even have a real conversation?" I looked at the bags of food I brought. "That's why I brought dinner. I thought we could celebrate." "Celebrate what?" he said, raising his voice. "Celebrate you choosing your job over our marriage? Celebrate how I married someone who cares more about work than having a family?" I felt tears filling my eyes. "I thought you'd be happy for me," I whispered. For a moment, his face softened, but then it hardened again. "I can't do this anymore, Ashley. Something has to change." With that, he stormed off to his office, slamming the door behind him. I stood in the middle of the living room, surrounded by the things I bought to celebrate, feeling lonelier than ever. As I put the food away and poured myself a glass of champagne, I wondered, was this the price of success? And if it was, could I really pay it? A few days later, while leaving the office, I had an idea. I'd hire a housekeeper, someone to clean and cook. That would solve Brad's complaints about the mess and lack of home-cooked meals. Feeling hopeful, I made the arrangements. 5 weeks later, I came home to a spotless apartment filled with the smell of a home-cooked meal. I smiled, sure that Brad would be pleased. I heard the front door open and close. "Brad!" I called out. "I'm home and dinner's ready." He walked into the kitchen, looking around the clean space. "What's all this?" "I hired a housekeeper," I said proudly. "She cleans and cooks for us. I thought hiring a housekeeper would make things easier for both of us, but instead of the gratitude I expected, Brad's face darkened. "So this is your solution? Hire someone else to do your job?" he asked. "That's not fair," I replied. "I'm trying to find a balance." "Balance?" Brad laughed bitterly. "Is that what you call this? Tell me, Ashley, now that you've found a replacement for yourself in the kitchen, are you going to find a replacement for yourself in our bed too?" I felt like I'd been slapped. "How dare you?" I said quietly. "I've done nothing but try to make our life better, and this is how you react?" Brad turned away. "I'm going out. Don't wait up." The door slammed behind him, leaving me alone in the spotless kitchen with the untouched dinner going cold on the table. Over the next few days, Brad and I barely spoke. I threw myself into work, focusing on the upcoming merger. Dealing with spreadsheets and financial reports was easier than dealing with the mess my personal life had become. Then, one rare Saturday when I didn't have to go into the office, I decided to make an effort. I spent the morning cooking Brad's favorite meals, set the table with our best dishes, and even wore the dress he bought me for our last anniversary. When Brad came home, I greeted him with a smile. "I thought we could have a nice dinner together," I said, trying to keep my tone light. "Just the two of us." Brad looked at me for a moment, then nodded silently. My heart leaped. Maybe this was the fresh start we needed. I was just about to serve the appetizer when the doorbell rang. Confused, I went to answer it. There, standing in the hallway, was Barbara. "Barbara?" I said, surprised. "We weren't expecting you." "Oh, I was in the neighborhood and thought I'd drop by," she said, pushing past me into the apartment. "Brad, darling, There you are. I watched helplessly as my carefully planned romantic dinner turned into a family gathering. Barbara took over the conversation, slipping in little comments about my housekeeping and my lack of maternal instincts. You know, she said, pouring herself more wine. In my day, a woman knew her place was in a home. We took pride in taking care of our husbands and raising our children. I stood up quickly. I think it's time for dessert, I said, escaping to the kitchen. I leaned against the counter, trying to calm myself down, but I could still hear Barbara talking in the dining room. Brad, darling, you need to talk some sense into her. A woman's duty is to her family first. Everything else comes second. I closed my eyes, fighting back tears. This wasn't the life I had imagined. I had a successful career, a beautiful home, but I was starting to wonder at what cost. As I listened to Barbara's endless talk about traditional family values, I began to wonder if I had made a huge mistake somewhere along the way. One evening I arrived home later than usual, still reflecting on the day's meetings. As I opened the door, I stopped in my tracks. Baby clothes were scattered across the living room floor, tiny onesies, little socks, and even a small pair of shoes. "Brad," I called out, my voice trembling. "What's all this?" He emerged from the bedroom with an unreadable expression. "Oh, Mom brought these over. She thought they might help you get in the mood." My hands shook as I picked up a small t-shirt. In the mood for what, exactly? For starting a family, of course, Brad said casually, as though it were the most natural thing in the world. "Ashley, we're not getting any younger. It's time we seriously thought about having kids." That evening, I quietly put away the baby clothes, my mind whirling. Was I being selfish? Was my drive for success damaging my marriage? The next morning, I woke up to find more baby items around the apartment. A rattle on the coffee table, a baby book on my nightstand, a high chair in the kitchen. It was obvious this was Barbara's doing. I tried to ignore the items, but each day, it felt like the apartment was slowly transforming into a nursery, whether I liked it or not. One night, I came home to find Barbara sitting on our couch, flipping through a parenting magazine. "Barbara," I said, unable to hide my irritation. "I didn't know you were coming over." She looked up with a sweet smile. "Oh, Ashley, dear, I hope you don't mind. Brad said I could wait here for him. He just went out to get some groceries." I nodded stiffly and went to the bedroom to change. When I returned, Barbara was standing by the window, gazing out at the city skyline. "You know, Ashley," she said, still looking outside, "a view like this is wasted on just 4 people. Imagine how wonderful it would be to have a child toddle up to this window, little hands pressed against the glass, eyes wide with wonder." A headache began to form. "Barbara, I appreciate your concern, but Brad and I will decide when we're ready to have children." She turned to face me, her eyes hard. "And when will that be, Ashley? When you've worked yourself into an early grave? When it's too late?" I opened my mouth to respond, but just then, Brad walked in, his arms full of grocery bags. He looked between us, sensing the tension. "Everything okay here?" he asked cautiously. Barbara's tone shifted immediately. "Oh, everything's fine, darling. I was just having a little chat with Ashley about family planning." Brad's face lit up. "Really?" "That's great. I knew you'd come around, Ashley," he said. I felt cornered, outnumbered. I need some air," I muttered, grabbing my coat and rushing out of the apartment. A few weeks later, I came home exhausted after a long day. The sight that met me stopped me in my tracks. There was Barbara wandering around our living room in fluffy pink pajamas. "What's going on here?" I demanded, my voice rising. Brad stepped out from the kitchen, looking defiant. "I've decided Mom is going to live with us. You're always at work, always away. I'm tired of being alone." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "You decided this without even talking to me? When are you ever here to talk about anything?" Brad snapped back. I looked at Barbara, who was watching us with a smug smile. "You can't stay here, Barbara. This is my home." Brad's face darkened. "If you're not happy with this arrangement, you can leave." I felt like I'd been slapped. "Excuse me? I bought this apartment before we were married. It's in my name. You can't kick me out of my own home." Barbara stood up, her face twisted with anger, and took a step toward me. "Now listen here, you ungrateful—" I held up my hand. "Don't come any closer, Barbara. If you lay a hand on me, I'll call the police." Barbara collapsed onto the sofa, clutching her chest dramatically. "Oh, Brad, did you hear that? She threatened to call the police on me, your own wife threatening your mother. That horrible job of hers has made her heartless." Brad rushed to her side, shooting me a look full of anger. "How could you do this to your own mother-in-law?" I couldn't take it anymore. Without saying another word, I stormed off to the guest bedroom and locked the door. I spent the night tossing and turning, my mind racing with the absurdity of it all. The next morning, my phone rang. It was Mr. Thompson, my boss. "Ashley, I need you on a plane today," he said. "We're ready to move forward with the merger, and I need you in Orlando ASAP." I packed my suitcase as fast as I could. As I headed for the door, Brad and Barbara stood there, their faces like stone. "I have to go on a business trip," I said, my voice cold. "It's for the merger. I'll be back soon." Brad's lip curled. "Don't bother coming back at all." The flight to Orlando was a blur. I threw myself into work, grateful for the distraction. The merger negotiations were intense, taking all my focus. But in the quiet moments, I couldn't stop thinking about the mess I had left behind. When I was alone in my hotel room, the reality of my situation hit me hard. After a long week of tough meetings and sleepless nights, I finally returned home. Standing outside my apartment door with my suitcases by my feet, I felt a mix of exhaustion and hope. All I wanted was to collapse into my own bed and escape from everything for a while. I put my key in the lock, but it wouldn't turn. Frowning, I tried again. Nothing. A cold wave of dread washed over me as I began to understand what must have happened. I knocked on the door, my heart pounding. After a moment, the door opened, and there stood Brad and Barbara, both in casual clothes, looking at me with smug expressions. Why isn't my key work?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. Brad let out a harsh laugh. "I changed the locks," he said, his eyes cold. "You can come in if you're ready to choose your family over your precious career." I stared at him, confused. "What are you talking about?" Brad reached into his pocket and pulled out some papers. With a dramatic motion, he held them out to me. "Divorce papers," he said. "It's time to choose, Ashley. Your career or your home. What's it going to be?" I looked at Brad, really looked at him, and in that moment, I realized something huge. I didn't love him anymore. The man I'd married was gone, replaced by this bitter, manipulative stranger. Barbara's shrill voice broke my thoughts. "Well, we're waiting. Make your choice." I took a deep breath. Standing tall, I said, "I choose my career," my voice steady, "because I don't have a family or a husband, not anymore." Brad's face twisted with anger, but he shoved a pen at me calmly. I signed the divorce papers right there in the hallway. As soon as I finished, Barbara grabbed my arm and roughly pushed me toward the elevator. "Good riddance," she spat, slamming the door behind me. I stood there, staring at the closed door of what had once been my home. A strange, almost hysterical laugh bubbled up inside me. I had just been kicked out of my own apartment, the one I bought with my own hard-earned money. Too exhausted to make a scene, I grabbed my suitcases and went to a nearby hotel. A few hours later, my phone rang. It was Megan, my friend and realtor who had helped me buy the apartment. "Ashley, honey, how are you doing?" she asked, her voice full of concern. "I've been better," I replied. "Why do you ask?" There was a pause before Megan spoke again. "I've seen Brad's posts on social media. Well, He's saying some pretty awful things about you. My heart sank. What kind of things? He's calling you a heartless career woman who chose work over your family. He says he sacrificed everything for your relationship, and you just used him and threw him away. He's even talking about suing you for alimony. People are starting to feel sorry for him, Ashley. Anger flared inside me. That's not what happened at all. I didn't think so, Megan said gently. Do you want to tell me your side? I quickly recounted everything that had happened over the past week. After I finished, Megan was silent for a moment. Oh, Ashley, she said finally. I'm so sorry you're going through this. Don't worry, I'm going to set things straight with our friends and colleagues. People need to know the truth. Thanks, Megan, I said, feeling a lump form in my throat. I really appreciate that. After hanging up, a mix of emotions washed over me. Anger at Brad's lies, gratitude for Megan's support, and a growing resolve. Brad might have taken my home for now, but I wasn't going to let him destroy my reputation or my dignity. Just then, my phone buzzed, and I saw Mr. Thompson's name. My stomach dropped. I took a deep breath and answered. Ashley, we need to talk, Mr. Thompson said, his tone unusually serious. I've seen some concerning things on social media. I closed my eyes, bracing myself. Sir, I can explain. No need to explain, Ashley, he interrupted. I want to hear your side of the story. A wave of relief washed over me. I took a steadying breath and told him everything. The arguments, Barbara moving in, being locked out of my own apartment, and Brad's smear campaign online. There was a long silence on the other end. Then, to my surprise, Mr. Thompson chuckled. Ashley, do you really think I'd believe that nonsense your ex is posting? He asked. I know you. I've seen your dedication and work ethic. Don't let this shake your confidence. You have every right to defend yourself, and I want you to know the company stands behind you. Tears of relief welled up in my eyes. Thank you, sir. You don't know how much that means to me. A couple of days later, my phone pinged with a social media notification. Brad was doing a live broadcast from my apartment. Curious, I tapped on the video. There was Brad, grinning at the camera with a film crew behind him. Hey, everyone, he said excitedly. Big news! We're about to start a major renovation on our apartment. The crew from Home Makeover will be here in 2 weeks to transform this place. I stared at the screen, and a plan started forming in my mind. Instead of feeling angry, I felt calm and determined. I picked up my phone and called Megan. It's Ashley, I need a huge favor, I said as soon as she answered. I need you to sell my apartment fast, like within 2 weeks. Megan let out a low whistle. That's a tall order, Ashley. What's the rush? I quickly explained Brad's renovation plans. I need new owners in there before the film crew arrives. But Ashley, how am I supposed to show the apartment? Brad changed the locks, remember? I sent her the latest photos I had of the place. These will have to do. I know it's not perfect. Megan cut me off with a laugh. Oh, honey, don't underestimate me. I have a couple who've been looking for a place just like this in the area. They trust my judgment. With these photos and the reputation of the building, I think I can make this happen. The weeks flew by in a whirlwind of work and anticipation. Before I knew it, the day of the big renovation reveal had arrived. I sat in my hotel room, laptop open, watching a live stream with bated breath. The camera panned across my former apartment, now filled with an excited film crew and construction workers. Brad and Barbara stood proudly in the center, grinning. We're so excited to start this renovation, Brad was saying, his arm around Barbara. It's time for a fresh start, a new chapter in our lives. Just as the host, Jake, was about to signal the start of demolition, a commotion broke out off camera. The door swung open and in walked a well-dressed couple, followed by a familiar face. Megan. I'm sorry, but you can't renovate this apartment, the man said, holding up a stack of papers. It belongs to us now. The camera swung, capturing the growing confusion. Brad's face shifted from shock to anger. "What are you talking about? This is my home." Megan stepped forward, her voice calm, yet resolute. "Actually, Brad, this apartment belonged to your ex-wife, Ashley. She sold it to this lovely couple weeks ago. Your signature on the renovation documents is a forgery." The host, Jake, turned to Brad, visibly furious. "You forged documents? Do you realize how much trouble you've caused?" Brad and Barbara's faces turned beet red as the host scolded them live on air. The scandal unfolded in real time, with millions watching as Brad's lies crumbled before him. I couldn't help but laugh, a mix of relief and satisfaction washing over me. It was finally over. With the proceeds from selling the apartment, I made a bold decision. I bought a charming little house in the city where our company had just completed its merger. It felt symbolic, a fresh start in the place where my career was soaring to new heights. To my delight, Mr. Thompson appointed me as the head of our newly acquired company. It was a big challenge, but one I was more than ready for. A few weeks later, I found myself face to face with Brad again, this time in a courtroom. He had the audacity to ask for half the proceeds from the apartment sale, plus alimony. I watched with satisfaction as the judge dismissed his claims, citing his attempts to steal my property and the forged documents. As we left the courthouse, Brad approached me, his earlier arrogance now replaced by desperation. "Ashley, please," he begged. "I'm sorry for everything. Can't we start over? Give our marriage another chance?" I looked at him closely and felt nothing. No anger, no sadness, just a profound sense of freedom. I gave a small, final laugh. "No, Brad," I said, shaking my head. "We can't start over, but I can start fresh, and that's exactly what I'm doing." As I walked away, I felt lighter than I had in years. My career was thriving, I was leading a successful merger and earning the respect of my peers and superiors, and I had a beautiful new home, one that was truly mine.